Welcome to the neXup podcast. I am your host, PC747, and this podcast is geared towards talking about tech, mainly smartphone related, as well as something dealing with cord cutting and really just the latest trends in general. What got me into really just grasping technology as far as smartphone techs in general was the Motorola Droid. A decade ago, I had moved to it from the iPhone 3GS. After having some issue with it, I switched over to the Motorola Droid, and it being a new platform, there was a learning curve that I had to overcome. And going through the process of overcoming that learning curve during the early days of Android, it was a fun process. And throughout it, though, early on, we did have some issues with one trying to learn it and figure it out because at the time, for those that was into it, you had to go through just forums where anytime you asked for information, you had this long, like almost a book, it felt like, of information that you had to read through just to figure out how to use your phone. And if you didn't understand certain things or certain terminology, you was left in the dark at times. And I've said, man, if I could ever figure this out, I would love to take this information and make it simple for the everyday person to pick it up and grasp it. And over the years, Android, as far as the platform and the community, have gotten much better with it because it has evolved and more people have adopted. People are able to pick it up even more. And at the time when I was going through it, it was when, quite frankly, because it was new, a lot of people was getting into developing on it and creating custom software for it. And people like me who was jumping on board with that and kind of learning and using to play with our phones and stuff like that, we found ourselves, at times as it bricking the device, or what people would call bricking is basically making it either useless, where it won't come on, where it won't respond, and having to recover that. And going through that, I continue to learn more and really develop a passion for the software and really the platform in general. And I continue to watch over the decade Android evolve from being just this boring vanilla platform that was laggy and had issues to now it is really one of the best platforms out on a smartphone to date, rivaling that of the iPhone. And as we continue to see not just Android, but really all smartphone tech, including Apple, evolve over the years and get to a point where now smartphones are the dominant choice for what people grasp when it comes to technology. More people use their phones for work than probably anything else. Even though we still have our computers and laptops, you see almost everybody on their phones now, whether it be to buy something, to communicate, to capture pictures, video, obviously phones and tech or phone calls and text, but pretty much it's nothing to see someone walk around with their phone in their hand all day and no one think about anything less of it or think about there's something wrong. Everywhere we go, whether it be to start our day, at the gym, at work, our phones are in our hand. It's one of the most useful and really important tools that we have to get through what we do on a daily basis. And as we continue to see this software and this technology continue to evolve, I'm enjoy talking about it and seeing the trends of where it's going to go and how it affects us in general in our everyday life. So this podcast is basically about talking about that. And this podcast is made available through SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. So let's go ahead and get started talking about today's topics. And I want to start with the trade war because we got this trade war going on with us in China. And Look, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have heard about it. Any of you haven't, which is hard for you not to, unless you live under a rock. If you turn on the TV, you're hearing about it. Your local news is talking about it, and it's affecting it, stocks and the economy, and people are really concerned about it. And there are people on different sides of this trade war. Some who actually are for it, who are saying that, I agree with the president. Finally, someone decided to stand up to China. And basically, for over a decade, China have been getting rich off the American economy with the unfair trade war. One where they are making billions and billions and yet sucking the resources and life out of American jobs and companies. We're seeing jobs shipped overseas to them while they create cheap products and sell it right back to us, which we buy and continue to fund their economy. While at the same time, they come and, just rob from a lot of the tech companies their intellectual properties and use it to build up their own companies, to which they then sell it right back to us. So there are some who say, I am finally glad that we have a president that's willing to step up and stand up to China. And even though we are going to have to deal with the lumps, it's better to do it now than for us to continue to see ourselves robbed year after year from an unfair trade war. And you have people on the other side who are like, look, this is affecting my farm. This is affecting my life. This is affecting my money. And it's unfair that we're being used as pawns, to really just boost up the president's platform to help him get reelected and to, spun up his base. And really, I quite frankly wish that they would leave my farm, my job, my business out of this, and let's get this done and make sure that it's not going to cause me where I'm out of work and I can't feed my family. So no matter where you stand with this war, no matter what side of the fence you're on, well, quite frankly, if you own a smartphone, it is likely affecting that. And let's start with Google, because they're going to be moving their Pixel production from China to Vietnam, which makes sense. With the trade war heating up, and we're expecting to see a lot more tariffs being put on products that are coming from China thanks to the Trump administration. Google's looking at, okay, it's time to go ahead and move some of our production somewhere else in preparation for that. And then you look at Apple, the iPhone, the smartphone that really kicked it off. And I say kicked it off, you wouldn't have Android without Apple. And a lot of us know that. Without the Apple iPhone, the phone that really kind of changed the game, here we are on iPhone, the 11th version. And people are anticipating this phone. But really, when you look at the iPhone 11, it is very expensive, a phone that will be very expensive. Despite the fact that it's going to cost Apple, less money to make it. Almost $50 less to make it. Now, when you compare how much the iPhone XS Max costs, it costs Apple about $430 to make this phone. Yet, for you to walk out of Best Buy or one of these local stores right now with that phone, it's going to set you back about $1,150. So, for a lot of customers out there who will be paying, as they may figure, a lot of money for these expensive smartphones, it's like they can't catch a break. And even though Apple will be saving money this year with the iPhone 11, they're not going to be passing those costs on to the customers. Instead, they're going to be, probably charging a little bit more. Why? To provide them some cushion to basically pass off the tariff that was put on them onto you. Now, I know right now, people may say, especially Android people, are looking to say, see, that's why I don't mess with Apple right there. Because that's that stuff that they be doing at Coopertown over there. They about money, and they're not trying to pass off any savings to me. They already have one of the most expensive phones as it is. And when you look at the specs, compared to what's out there. It's not like they're putting out the newest of specs. They pretty much keep up with the trend barely, but they always put out there. You got these Apple fans that are falling behind and falling in line to support Apple, and that's why I support Samsung because I ain't got to worry about that. But slow down. Apple's not the only one doing that. Now, Samsung, they're not doing it because of a trade war. They're just doing it to make money. Apple, they're doing a trade war out there as an excuse, but really $50, the fact that it costs them, again, $430 to make the phone, but charging you upwards of $1,200, even if they didn't have the trade war that was going on. That was how much the iPhone XS costs. $1,150, and it cost them $430 to make it. And they didn't have a trade war to worry about last year when they made the iPhone XS. So it tells you how much money that they're making off these devices that they're charging you. And looking at the site, WCCF Tech, they actually looked at the cost of the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. And for the base model, it costs $420 for it to make. Yet, for you to walk out the door right now with a base model Galaxy S10 Plus, you're spending about $1,000. So, this brought a question for me. When you look at all of these smartphones on the market, when you look at what it takes to put these phones so that you can buy it. I mean, we know what goes into making it, the sticker price what it is. A lot of it being marketing, to market this phone or these phones, the iPhone and the Galaxies to the public so that they see it, where it airs on local television right before sporting events or your favorite television show. That costs them money, and that marketing budget is passed on to you on top of the R&D, software support, operating costs, as well as other fees that are slapped on there to make sure that there's a big enough profit to make investors happy. So when you look at that big sticker price for your phone, that's what you're getting. And is it worth it? Is it worth for us to go out there and spend that kind of money on these phones? And if I'm going to be frank, really no. And the reason for it is because, first of all, look, I am a big fan of tech, and this is why this show exists. But if I'm going to be honest with you, straight up with you, a lot of the phones that are out there that are coming out brand new, you don't really need it. And we know that, because you can grab a phone that are about a year or two behind the current phone model, and it works just as fine. Either that or a mid-tier phone. Because for most people, we're using our phones to surf the web, post some stuff on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We could do that with some of these cheaper phones. We don't have to go broke trying to do that. And before you look at what we're spending on smartphones now, for a lot of people, we're dropping pretty much a whole paycheck, if not more, on some of these smartphones. For what? Well, the reality, because we're caught up. We're caught up in the hype beasting. We're caught up in it being shown all over the place. And so we jump on it. And I'm not going to act like I'm above it. I'm just as guilty. I'm on here talking about the latest smartphone trends. So I'm helping add to that. But if I'm going to be fair with saying that, look, I understand that as exciting as this tech is, as exciting as the new cameras are and how we're getting better with the software every year. Honestly, if I'm going to be honest, for most people, even for myself, I'm good if I was to stick with a phone for over a year or two. A good example of that, so I use my OnePlus 7 Pro as my daily driver. But with it, I bring my OG Pixel, and I use it as my work phone. The reason why is because at work, I like to use messaging for web so that everything I'm doing, it pops up on on my computer screen or one of my computer monitors. And quite frankly, my work emails, I'm okay being up there because it's basically work emails. But I don't want my personal email up there. So the only way I can separate it, where I can make sure my work email does that, is to have a Google Fi account for my Pixel and just make sure that phone number is used for work on it. So that basically Any message that pop up on the web, just in case someone looking on my shoulder, it's all work related. And I'm not worried about any personal information, being read by coworkers or eyes just looking over your shoulder. So as much as I'm a fan of OnePlus 7 Pro, is as far as phones out there, I think, at the end of the year, it may go down as one of the best phones of the year, especially for what you're getting for the price. With the 12 gigabytes of RAM, I do see the boost when I'm playing something like a Street Fighter 4. But if I'm being honest with you, I'm not playing Street Fighter 4 that much. I can count on one hand the amount of times I played Street Fighter 4 in this month. And it wasn't over 5 minutes worth of playing. It was just one of those things where we were just playing it just to kill some time. That's it. But for everything else, when I'm using my regular Pixel to just scroll through social media every now and then, go through some websites, even watch YouTube, I'm not feeling like I gotta have the OnePlus 7 Pro. Except for, honestly, the screen is, much bigger on the OnePlus 7 Pro than the Pixel. So for watching movies or something like that, I am going to gravitate towards the OnePlus 7 Pro. But for everything else, the Pixel is just fine. I'm able to do everything I need to do on the Pixel just fine. I'm not feeling any lag on any software issues. Not to the point where it's so obvious, okay, this phone got to go. Let me grab this. So for a lot of you out there, you will be fine with a phone that's 2 or 3 years old. And even if you don't want to go with that, like I said, some of these mid-tier phones are a much better choice. So why do we feel the need to pick up the newest phone? Yep, because it's being advertised as the latest great thing. It has this new software. It has this new camera. It has this or that. And we find reasons to do it. And like I said, I'm just as guilty. My excuse to be able to gravitate to the next device, well, I needed to have it so I can review it for my website or for my podcast or for my YouTube channel. When reality is, well, I was going to pick up the stuff anyway, and then it just so happened that the benefit of me already doing that is that I can use it for information for this. But I'm just as guilty of being hyped up on it. Right after a phone is basically put out for the people to buy, maybe a month or two later, they're already putting out information for the next phone. So even with these manufacturers putting out these expensive phones where they get people buying it, they already looking towards the next best thing. So as consumers who are caught up in this rat race of trying to get the next phone and who are like me, who enjoy the latest tech, and we can find ourselves getting caught up if we're not paying attention, what can we do to be honest, make sure that we're getting the most out of what we're buying? Because, look, even if we look at some of the trends from better cameras, better processors, better displays, maybe more battery life, 5G that's about to be the next hot thing. When you think about what we use our stuff for in our day-to-day, it's really not going to be that big of a boost, not that big of a difference. Even though these processors are getting better, for most people, you're not going to notice the difference. In fact, when I broke out my neXup 6, I was doing something on it, I forgot what it was. I was sitting there navigating through it, and, for just day-to-day, that processor was able to go through the websites just fine, pull up social media just fine, and it wasn't to the point where it was so big of a difference where I felt I need the newest phone. And by big of a difference, I mean lagging so much where, let's just say, well, back in the day when we had the Motorola Droid, the original OG Droid, you can obviously tell the difference between that and the technology now. I did feel a difference when I was using that because it really was lagging. Well, one processor that it just can't keep up with what we have now. The time it took to load up a website, the time it took to do the little things. Well, it's obviously much better now, but not so much over the last 2 or 3 years. And smartphone manufacturers know that. Yeah, they throw out the latest processor saying it gives you this much extra performance. And I'm not saying to do not increase performance, but mainly the performance that they're talking about is on a battery end, helping you get more battery life out of it. But when you look at what manufacturers are doing, they, instead of taking advantage of that by putting the same size of battery in there so you get a bigger battery, they're decreasing the battery size. So really, for the most part, even though you're getting better performance out of the processor, well, the battery size is getting smaller. So, at the end of the day, you're getting around the same usage day to day. You're not seeing that big of a usage from one phone to the next one year to year. It's not like, well, let's say this year phone, you're getting 4 hours of battery life, but next year phone, you're getting about 7 to 8 hours of extra battery life or on screen time or something like that. It's not that big of a difference. It's something really, a small amount of difference, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. At best, I'll throw an extra 30 minutes to an hour out there. Unless, you're getting a phone that's really putting a large size battery in there. But for most people, you're not going to see the difference going from one phone to the other. And if you're someone who, again, finding yourself in that rat race, you're a fan of tech like me, you want to go year to year buying the next phone, what can you do to make sure that if you're going to do that, you can try to save yourself the most amount of money? And the first thing I would say is keep your phone in the best shape possible. And for me, I prefer using a case and screen protector. I know you're going to hear people out there saying, there's no need for a case or a screen protector. And I understand that, but this is the reason why I say use it. Not so much just for protection, but to protect from the daily wear and tear. Yes, people say, well, take care of your device, make sure your phone is not in the pocket with your keys. But at the end of the day, there's sometimes you're running out to work or running out where you're running from. You just happen to throw your pocket or your keys in the same pocket or at your smartphone or vice versa. And having the case and screen protector on it just protects that from it being there. Or you happen to slide your phone down on the table somewhere or whatever. It just protects from the daily wear and tear so that your phone continues to look just as new as it did when you took it out of the box. Speaking of the box, when you go to take your phone out of the box, keep it in good shape. The box in particular. Don't go beast mode and ripping the box apart and throwing it across the room. Instead, just, open the box gently and take the stuff out of it, or particularly the phone out of it, and use it. And as far as the cords and the anything else, the accessories that come with the phone, unless, for a lot of us out there, we're getting an update to the phone that we already have. Like for me, I already have a Pixel. I already had a Pixel. So I had a Pixel 2, Pixel 3, plan on getting a Pixel 4. The same cords and wireless charge, the same cords and the plug that comes with it, it's going to work with my next Pixel. So for the most part, anytime I break out a new phone, I'll leave the cords and the plugs and anything else that come, the books and everything in the box. And I'll put the box in a shelf somewhere in a bag so that when I go to sell it, the box is looking pristine. When I'm ready to take pictures of the phone, just take the case off of the glass screen protector, clean the phone off real good, make sure it's free of dust, take some good pictures, and make it presentable. And for those who are looking to buy a used phone, they're like, man, you kept your phone in pretty good shape, like it's almost brand new. I'm going to give you more than I would for the guy over there who threw his phone across the room, and you can see there's chips in the glass. You can see it scratched up. It got some wear and tear. So, this will make the difference between you getting the most for your phone. Speaking of getting the most for your phone, sell your phone. Unless you're going to get guaranteed the trade-in value that you're going to get if you sell it, I am not for these trade-in programs. At least a lot of these trade-in programs, because they're a ripoff. They're not giving the full value what you can get for if you sell it yourself. Now, I know people say, man, I don't want to go through the headache. Look, it's not hard. It really isn't. I know there are some concerns out there that, man, I got to go through this, and I got to set up a PayPal and this and that. Yes, you do have to do that. But trust me, it's okay. Setting up a PayPal account takes you all of 10 minutes, if that. And you're going to use it for more than just selling your phone. You're going to use your PayPal for buying stuff on eBay. You're going to use it for doing just a number of things. Plus, you use PayPal for paying bills. So Having a PayPal account is not hard to set up and it's beneficial to have anyway. And the other thing, but I gotta go through a mailing this and go through all that again. The excuses that you're using for why you don't want to sell your phone is not worth the amount of money you're losing for not doing it. Because these companies are, you know, giving you pennies for what they're turning around and selling themselves for. Just last week, I talked about on my podcast how much money is being made off of these refurbished phones. So if there's a market for it and people making money off of it, that means your phone still have some value, especially if you took care of it. So look, do yourself a favor. Take good care of your device. And when you're ready to buy the next big device, take your old device, clean it up, clean up the case, clean up the box, which it shouldn't be too dirty because you kept it up in the closet. Take good pictures of it and list it. And I'm pretty sure you will get pretty good value for your phone, especially if you sell it pretty soon. Now, that's another issue, too, that needs to be talked about is the value of these phones. Because they're putting them out so, like, the way they're putting them out, like the resale value is kind of dropping on some of these phones, especially some of the Samsung phones. We're starting to see them drop at a level that, quite frankly, is, well, not keeping up with the amount that they're raising when it comes to their newer phones. We're seeing Galaxy phones increase in price significantly, yet the value is dropping for the resale part of it. Why? Because, again, they're putting out so many of it, so many of them. So there is going to be a challenge when it comes to the fact that when you go to sell your phone, you're going to just kind of sell it early and be mindful of when everyone else is trying to sell it. And this is something I'm going to have to also be mindful of myself, as I'm getting ready for the brand new Pixel 4 to come out. And I was looking at selling my Pixel 3, but, with Google putting out the Pixel 3a and 3a XL, it's like they pretty much just cut my legs from under me. Where like, I don't know how much value I'm really going to get for selling the Pixel 3. Well, my Pixel 3 XL. A used Pixel 3 XL, who's going to want to pay more than $200 for it? Really? When the Pixel 4 are going to come out there, a bunch of people are going to look to be selling their phones. And then it's competing against the Pixel 3a and 3a XL. And it's kind of obvious that a lot of people weren't happy with the Pixel 3 XL for the issues with the notch being right there and it having some software issues. So the resale value in that phone itself may put me in a situation where, as much as I'm talking about reselling a phone to put it towards a new phone, it may be better for me to keep that phone as a backup phone versus trying to sell it because, the market may not be as good. But for most of you guys out there, pay attention to the trends. And yeah, if you see, every year around October, the Pixel are going to release their phone. Around September, that's when the iPhone released their latest iPhone. Around close to late August, that's when Samsung released their Note. As far as their latest Galaxy S version, they try to release it around the February-March period. So knowing those are the release periods, those are the trends. If you're someone who are looking to buy a phone every year, try to sell the previous phone sometime before that, if possible. Especially if you have a backup phone. But yeah, as we continue to see these smartphone manufacturers to continue to grow as far as what they charge you for phones and what they're slapping as far as the sticker price. Make sure you as the customer try to get the most out of it. If you're going to be someone who is going to try to buy a phone every year. But really, at the end of the day, if we are to be honest, well, all of us are finding ourselves in a situation, unless you're smart, if you're someone who's not keeping up on the latest, I got to have the latest X, Y, or Z. We find ourselves, whether it be with shoes, whether it be with games, whether it be with cars, and for us in particular, smartphones, we find ourselves following this trend every year because someone put out there that this is the hottest, this is the newest thing, and we go chasing after it, and that's where our dollars go. So, that this is part of the consumerism that, have taken over us as Americans. But talking about profits and all of consumerism, one thing that is not making a profit for really Google is the Pixel Slate. So if you're new to what's going on with the Pixel Slate, it's a Chromebook that Google tried to release last year, and when they released it, it debuted at $800 for the base model, which had a really garbage processor, and then $1,600 for the topped out model, and really customers were not feeling it. Especially when the topped out $1,600 model was lagging, and basically your reviewers came out there and pretty much said, "Man, this thing is kind of garbage." So really, when it came to that, a lot of people passed on it. And first of all, even if it did have good reviews, for me personally, I cannot see spending more than $500 for a Chromebook. I don't care. I know people will come out there and say, "Well, listen, the Pixel Book is worth the money." All right, you do you with your money. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, but I'm not spending more than $500 for a Chromebook. And really, I'm keeping around close to $400 area. At most, maybe $450 for a Chromebook. And this is why. When it comes to Chromebooks, yes, it has evolved from when Chromebooks first came onto the scene. And we are starting to see some of the Chrome apps get better. But it's at the point where it's almost reached its wall. And Google knows this. That's why they pretty much gave up on Chrome tablets. A month or two ago, they pretty much said, we're done as far as us when it comes to making Chrome tablets. Now, we'll continue to make the Chromebooks, but tablets, it's not really working for us. So they basically, at least from what I gather from it, they admit that the apps for Chromebooks, especially in tablet mode, are garbage. So, and really, not just in tablet mode, honestly, even in Chromebook mode, for the most part, when I use my Chromebook, I'm not using the tablet apps. I'm using the Chrome version of those apps. Rarely am I using the tablet version of it. In fact, the only time, I think very few apps I'm using, two apps I use the tablet version for. One, the Google Play Books, and the second one is using Scrib. And what Scrib does, or allow you to do, is basically allow you to use your handwriting to write on like a notepad. It's a note-taking app. And I use it with my Acer Chrome tablet. So for me, I'm not spending more than $500. So as far as what Google marketing is, or the point of this topic right now, Google is marking down their Chrome tablet to knock $250 off of it. So for me, even with them knocking $250 off the base model, bringing it to around $550 or so, it's still too much. I'm not spending that much money on a Chromebook, especially not that one. Not one, again, Google admit to it being basically garbage too. They almost basically done with it. That was the one that pretty much told them that it's time for them to bow out. I'm going to wait for that phone or that tablet to continue to drop down in price, because it will. There's not a big demand for it. And for someone who is in the market for a Chromebook, maybe looking at that and say, all right, I'm thinking about something like that, but you just said that's too much for a Chromebook. What's a good alternative? Well, for me, the HP Chromebook X2, I'm using it right now. I actually use that a lot, more than I use my MacBook Pro, because of the simple fact that, man, the keyboard is just that much better. Now, you can detach it and use it in tablet mode, but I prefer just to use it in the dock mode with the keyboard. In fact, it's probably my primary Chromebook now, as I use it over my Samsung Chromebook. The other thing, and oh, by the way, you can probably get this HP Chromebook X2 for about around slightly over $300, 330. I want to say I paid around close to $350 when I got this one. So you can get one for around close to $350, maybe $400 would be the most I could see pick one up for. So this is a good value. The other thing I can see, if you want something that's more tablet-like, especially if you want something like to write on, the Acer Chrome Tab 10. Now, The only problem with that, performance-wise, it is really sluggish. I have seen a difference when it comes to performance between that one and my other Chromebooks. So it will crash at times. It will have some issues. So I wouldn't recommend this as the only device to use. I would use that, like I said, for mainly like a note-taking tablet or like a e-reader. That's what I would use that for. Because of the simple fact that you can pick one up for under $200 right now, and what you can do with it, I can see picking something like that up for that price. And like I said, personally, I enjoy Chromebooks. I for what they are for, or what people use them for surfing the web, for watching movies, for YouTube or anything like that, they're good for it. You're not going out there and going broke for a Chromebook. You can pretty much, you have no viruses to worry about. There's no slowdowns. It's really good for what it is. But what it isn't is not a standalone device. Now, even though I put out YouTube videos showing that you can do some video editing and you can do some podcasting, recording on a Chromebook, it will not be something I would go to as my choice if I'm comparing that between, like, if I have a MacBook or a PC. If I have a MacBook or a PC available, I'm not picking up the Chromebook to do any of those. For one, just the apps that are available. Yes, you have a somewhat of a video recorder that's available for Chromebook, and you do have some type of video editing available as well. But it really don't compare to what you're going to get with my MacBook Pro, with me using Final Cut Pro. It's not even close. And the same thing with my video editing or photo editing, which I use Photoshopping. I mean, the Photoshop or photo editing software that you want to get on a Chromebook, it's not going to be anywhere as powerful, anywhere as useful. So for me, the main purpose of a Chromebook, which we use it for the day-to-day of reading articles or going online to surf the web, to post on social media, read email, watch some videos, it's good for that. But if you need it for production, if you're someone who is in the entertainment business or you're trying to produce content, whether it be video or some photos or something like that, you're not going to want to gravitate there unless you're new to it. If you're someone who like, man, I don't have a lot of money. I'm new to this. I'm trying to get something going. I have bills. I'm trying to start from the bottom up, get this going. All I have is a Chromebook. Well, that's what you got. You make it happen. You do what you do, and you can make it happen. It's going to require you to do a little bit more work and make more. It will be a little bit more challenging and to get it done, but you make it happen. But at the end of the day, if you have something else, you're not going to use that over You're not going to use a Chromebook over that for video editing, photo editing, or something like that. So, because when it comes to work, when it comes to getting stuff done, most people are going to need something like a PC or a Mac that can run a program, and Chromebooks cannot. I cannot justify, I don't think anybody can justify saying that a Chromebook should be costing as much as a PC or Mac. And because of that, for me, when it comes to Chromebooks, anything above $500, because I'm going to have a Mac, I'm going to have a PC as my primary, that is going to be the cap for what I'm going to be able to recommend spending for that, no matter how good it is. And like I said, the Pixel Book, I understand it's really good, but because there are so many other Chromebooks on the market, because it's really a saturated market, I cannot justify telling anyone to spend Pixelbook money on a Chromebook. Or, let's be honest, MacBook money on a Chromebook, which is what a Pixelbook costs. Now, I understand there are going to be fans out there who will argue up and down that it's worth the money. And I'm not, again, going to tell you not to spend that type of money on it as far as you. That's what you about, do you. I'm not spending it, and I can't recommend spending it. But let's go to our last topic, and that's talking about Disney Plus. And I have to talk about this, because it made a big splash on D23, and I'm someone who is a cord cutter. I have a couple of channels I stream, YouTube TV, I have Netflix, DC Universe. Every now and then I check out ESPN Plus. There's something going on with that. I'm a Prime member, so I'm about that streaming life. And now that you have more options out there. And we knew it was going to happen. As big cable started seeing money come out their pocket to people like me who decided to cut the cord and was tired of these $150 cable bills and like, look, I'm about to put money back in my pocket, not putting money in your pocket. I'm done. They like, all right, man, this is the way you're going to go. We're going to have to fight you with fire and bringing content in the way that you're going to consume it and you're going to pay us for it. And they're looking to do that as we start to see more and more companies out there take down the big dog, Netflix, the company that did it first, or one of the companies that did it first. And yeah, Disney is looking to do that as they pulled a lot of their movie content and all that stuff from Netflix to make it ready for their Disney Plus. And on top of their movies, from those who are fans of the Marvel Universe, you got the Star Wars property. And you do know there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there. And then you're going to have your Disney properties, such as your Lion Kings and your Cinderellas and all that stuff that are going to be geared towards kids. So here's this platform that they're going to offer for $7. Now, $7 is not a lot of money. But when you look at it in the big picture, on top of what you got to pay for Netflix, what you're paying for any other streaming service out there, it's time to make a decision what stays and what goes. Because we can't keep them all, not if you're trying to save money from big cable. So this next segment is going to be, what are my choices here? What's going to go and what's going to stay? So basically, I'm going to rank them from first to last, being first to go, last to stay or be kept. And my choices here, or the streaming service I'm going to talk about, it'll be Hulu, YouTube TV, Amazon Prime, Netflix, DC Universe, DirecTV Now, which is AT&T Now, HBO Go, Stars, Sling TV, ESPN Plus, and now Disney Plus. Now keep in mind, your free companies like Tuba TV and Crackle, I'm not going to mess with. Why? Well, it's free. So why in the world would you worry about it if you're going to get a chance to enjoy it for free? So let's go ahead and start off with talking about Stars. Now, if you're a fan of watching a lot of movies, Stars is actually pretty good. They have a lot of movies there, and they have a lot of content as far as the movie choices they have available. But they don't have a lot of original series. So, this is mainly geared for someone who really like a lot of movies. But the reason why for me it's going to be the first to go, well, one, when it comes to movies, you do go through a period where you do want to watch movies. But mainly that's going to be probably in the wintertime where it's cold outside. If you're stuck in a lot of snow, you're stuck in the house, then you may pick up something like Stars or something like that and check out some movies. But for the rest of the year, where you can get out, if you're not that big in the movies, especially the older movies, it's not going to be for you. And really, with something like Stars, you can get away with checking it out for maybe a month or two. And for the rest of the year, be done with it. Because of that, for me, it's the first to go. Second, Hulu. Since I've dropped Hulu about a year or two ago, I haven't really looked back. And for me, there really wasn't a reason to. YouTube TV basically stole the thunder from Hulu. The main reason why I gravitated to Hulu at the time was because of the simple fact that the shows that I missed, I can catch on Hulu. But now with YouTube TV, with the ability to basically have a HDR that is streamable, or a HDR that's on the cloud, it basically took the reason for me to have Hulu anymore. And with the fact that, well, honestly, I know they were trying to be in live TV and compete with YouTube TV and Sling TV and AT&T Now, but really at the end of the day, it didn't work as well as I thought. At least when I tried it out in the beta mode. So what it cost and what they had to offer, it wasn't enough that it was appealing to me. So for me, I'm like, you out. The third one, Sling TV. Now, Sling TV, will always have a place in my heart. It was the first choice I went to when I finally decided to cut the cord. And in fact, they were the company that was there to, they were the company that encouraged me or helped me be able to cut the cord. Because they offer live sports and I was able to watch my football and stuff like that, I was able to jump on Sling TV. In fact, the year that they debuted was when I decided to cut the cord. And even though when they first came out, they had a couple of bugs and some issues, it performed really pretty well. And at the end of the day, it did what it needed to do, and I liked it for what it was. But decided to get too crazy with it. Try to have all these blue and orange packages and try to do all kinds of stuff with it. And really, honestly, at the end of the day, they just fell to some other competition that just ended up doing it better. They came out first and they were the first to do it, but they weren't the best to do it. And really, at the end of the day, for me, I found a better choice in YouTube TV, and because of that, they end up going. AT&T now, same reason. For me, YouTube TV just does better for me, and with like I said, the option to have HDR in the cloud and the content they have is really more geared to me, for me. On top of the simple fact that AT&T now continue to hike up their price more and more. You know what? For me, for what they're offering, I'm good. HBO Go, with Game of Thrones now being over, I wouldn't be surprised to see more and more people kind of gravitate away from that. And they still have some content there that, at least for me, that will keep me at least subscribing 2 or 3 months out of the year. One in particular, NFL Hard Knocks. I'm a big fan of that show. Also Ballers. So, those 2 shows will guarantee that HBO get at least about a month or 2 worth of money out of me. But other than that, anything else, I'm not really picking up HBO Go for. So, and I'm not really going to do it for the movies. I'm not going to it for their other original content. It's just those 2 shows. And once those 2 shows are over with, I'm ready to go ahead and cut it for the rest of the year. Amazon Prime. Now, to be honest, Amazon Prime, the only way that I have it is because I'm a Prime member, mainly because of the deliveries. But if Amazon Prime was just a streaming service only and I had to pay for that, I'm probably not. Actually, I would have to say that would be lower than some of the other options. The only why it's up this high is because of the deliveries, and I'm getting it for free. So really, at the end of the day, I'm not really dropping it. But there's not a lot of times I find myself going to Amazon Prime, for movies or TVs or anything. There are a couple of shows that did appeal to me. The Boys, I really like that. That was pretty good, and I can't wait to see what they do with season 2. Another show that I like on there is NFL All or Nothing. Now, NFL All or Nothing is basically Hard Knocks, but where Hard Knocks follow the team through training camp, NFL All or Nothing pretty much follow them throughout the whole season. And, being a fan of the NFL and that type of content, I do gravitate to Prime for that, and I look for that every year. But other than that, those 2, for now, I'm not really picking up Prime for anything else other than just using it for delivery. So, yeah, for me, I'll be just fine with if Amazon said, look, we are offering a cheaper version or a way where you can save money to drop the Prime portion. I wouldn't be sad to see it go. ESPN Plus. Now, I'm a sports fan, but for the most part, when it comes to ESPN, I'm going to get all the ESPN I need through YouTube TV. Now, there are some things on ESPN Plus that have me, want to check it out, that's appealing to me. Some of the stuff that's more geared towards NFL, some of the interviews they do. And because of that, I would definitely like to check it out from time to time. But for most of the part, it's okay if I see it going. So, number 8, DC Universe. Now, for me, the reason why it's ranking so high, mainly because it's still new. And because of that, it's kind of getting, a little curve on that alone. But if I'm to be frank, they need to pick it up because, next year, if they don't come out with more better content and keep me interested, it's going to find itself further down the ranking. Now, I will say this. Now, some of the shows they came out with, Titans, for season 1 to get it started, I'm like, okay, you got me into it. It's one of those shows I'm like, it's a B+. Now, that's the only show you had on your universe. That's the only thing I had to choose from. I'm being honest with you. It wouldn't have been the thing that kept me subscribed. Now, the thing that do have me there is I do like a lot of the content that do have where you can, a lot of the animated shows, the old Justice League, and a lot of the Batman animated and stuff like that. So it do have a lot of shows there, and a lot of the older movies that you can check out. So if you're a fan of that content, it's good for that. But for me, where it's lacking is the fact that it's leaving out too much content. There are other newer movies such as Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, Aquaman, stuff like that. That should be available for that DC universe. And the fact that it isn't, for me, it's like, okay, man, if this is supposed to be geared towards DC content and yet you can't get that property into your universe, it's like, all right, come on, this is something that should be made available. And, you know, yeah, for me, I see it as a bummer and it's a strike or something I'm giving points off for. Now, I do like or do give them points added for the simple fact with the animated movie or the animated properties is being made available quickly. I want to say like almost weeks after it's made available for digital and DVD, it's made available for DC Universe. So if you're someone who's not wanting to spend the 15 or $20 on the latest animated movie, if you can hold off for 3 or 4 weeks, it'll be available for DC Universe, making the $12 that you would have spent that month worth it. So that's for me why it's still kind of ranking so high, mainly because it's new and it do have some of the animated movies that are or animated properties that you can see. And like I said, I think season 2 will be promising for Titans. So I kind of want to stick around just long enough to see if they are able to do something with that. I was a fan of the Young Justice cartoon, and I think season 3 was pretty decent. So that was another reason appeal for me to stay subscribed to the streaming service. But other than that, next year, especially now that we see Disney Plus going to pretty much challenge them, they're going to see some competition. They're going to step it up. And yeah, when it comes to if you had to choose between them or the competition being Disney Plus for right now, they're going to be the victim of getting booted. Netflix, the long-time champ, they're starting to see the competition heat up as more and more are looking to take on them and take them on. And particularly the newest one being Disney Plus. They're going to have to also continue to step up their content as they're starting to see themselves lose movies and shows that, are appealing to fans, especially the Marvel fans or even those that are Star Wars fans, because, companies like Disney are going to pull that back and put it into their own platform. And it's not going to be long before you see other companies start to pull more and more of their stuff and put it into their own platform. So, what can Netflix do to keep people engaged still? And if they can't find a way to keep customers subscribing, they're going to be a casualty of the fact that people are going to say, okay, look, I may, subscribe to you for a month or two to binge some of the shows that you put out there, but then I'm going to boot you and go to put my money somewhere else. And, for Netflix, that's got to be something that's concerning, and they're going to find a way to boost their content and bring in more original content and find ways to be able to stand alone and not really depend on some of the other properties to sustain them. And that's going to be a challenge that they obviously know they have and they got to need to look forward to. So, number 10 or towards the second spot of the ones that I want to keep. And it's going to be Disney Plus. And the only why I'm saying it's number 2 right now is mainly because it's a new kid on the block with all of the shows that are being pitched out there. And me being a fan of the Marvel movies, I'm looking forward to seeing stuff like She-Hulk and Moonlight and stuff like that. So, and seeing how they do those properties. And even for other people who are fans of Star Wars property, you got that. They got the Mandalorian coming out. So they know that, early on, there are going to be a lot of people showing interest in it. So what Disney's going to have to do is make sure coming out of the box, they're on fire and they're hooking people because, if they try to play the long kind game of, being a slow burn, they may have people that say, okay, listen, you're going to play this game. What I'll do is I'll just, see the first show and, see how the things are going. And I might just wait until you guys put out a season and just binge it, and there probably going to be a lot of people who looking to save money to do that. So if they're wanting to keep people subscribed for a year, you got to put out some content. It got to keep them, wanting to keep coming back. It got to be something hot. It got to be something fresh. It got to be something new. And I think they're going to kind of do the same thing with Disney, with DC Universe does with their content, where instead of just releasing out like Netflix do and put out a show for people to binge watch, they're going to make it a weekly content, which makes sense because if you put out something like a show to binge at one time, well, people are going to just go binge it and be done with it. Where, one thing that I say again, what Disney Universe did is, like, would it be Titans or Young Justice, is they make it kind of like a weekly show so that, you are having to subscribe for each week to, get through the whole season. And I'm pretty sure they're going to follow that same blueprint and do the same thing to try to keep people stayed or subscribed for the entire year. But it better be good. It better be fire because, people are going to be quick to say, all right, look, you may, if you have like a hit or miss show or too many shows that are misses, but only a few hits, they may just stick around just for that show or wait for the show that season to be over, binge it through, and just save money. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised for a lot of people who are trying to save money if they do that anyway. Lastly, for me, which would be just the last one to go for me, would be YouTube TV, and that's because for me, I've been pretty much happy with YouTube TV. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the last price increase, I kind of like scratched my head, like, look, you guys need to calm down with this price increases. Don't be like DirecTV or AT&T now over there trying to keep hiking up the price. Stay where you at, man. You at the spot you need to be. You're starting to get a little bit, too much right there, and it's making it even harder for me to recommend your platform to other people because, man, with YouTube TV, this is the thing I'm pitched to a lot of people. I've said, look, if you want to save money, you tired of big cable, check out YouTube TV. You can save money. You can watch on the go. It works. I have to say, rarely have I had an issue where it's just not working or the service have been down or anything. Whenever I'm ready to watch it, it's ready to go. And for me, I'm a big fan of the cloud HDR because for a lot of us who are on the go, we can't really keep up with our shows when we want to. You may have a show that you like to watch, but you got to work, you got to be somewhere. It's like, all right, man, I can put it on the content or put the content in our cloud. And later on, when I get a free time at lunch or, after work, before work or at the gym, what it is, just, put it on the phone, put the earbuds in, and get caught up. And really, that's what we all at, to come to TV anyway. That's how we get caught up on a lot of stuff, man, on our free time. And a lot of times, our free time is having to be merged in with some other stuff. And, for a lot of us, we try to get that done when we get our cardio in, and that's when we try to get some of that content caught up. And, yeah, so as far as the complete package, I'm still feeling like YouTube TV, provides live content, especially for sports fans. You're getting your ESPN, with college football kicking off this weekend. You're definitely going to be able to check it out on that. YouTube TV has, I would say, everything you're going to really want for someone who's trying to cut the cord. Now, the one thing I would say towards YouTube TV is something I want to see them kind of improve on going forward is this. I know that they're trying to make enough content to really satisfy everybody. And the reality is you can't satisfy everybody. And the one thing I do not want to see them do, I do not want them to do what Sling TV did, where they doing this orange and blue thing where you got to choose a certain package. Look, I'm not trying to do this package thing. That's why I left big cable. Don't be them. So if you're going to go to the route of trying to make it where it could be customizable for people, do this. Allow people to choose what channels they want. So someone like me who may be a sports fan, who may want to leave out some of the discoveries or some of the cooking channels or something like that, or Lifetime channels, I can leave those out. Or vice versa. You may have someone who say, look, man, I got kids in the house. I want to get something for them. I want to have some more of the kids channels, and I may not care so much for the sports or the 24-hour news channel. They can bail. So give people, if you're going to give people the ability to choose a package, don't be a package. Give people the ability to choose a channel and let them to say, I X this channel out, or let me swap this channel for that. Be able to revolutionize cable TV the way you say you're going to. And if you can do that, if you really allow people to have that choice, I think you're going to find a lot more people willing to hold on to you much longer. And, that's why for me with YouTube TV, just for the go-to recommendation for cord cutters is what I choose. And it still have some ways it can get better, but for right now, it's the champ for me. But that's all I have for today's show. We about an hour in, and yeah, thank you again for joining me. And if you have any comments on, your thoughts on what streaming platforms you say should be kept and what should go, feel free to post it at PC747 at neXup.net, or you can hit me up on Twitter. Thank you again for joining me for today's show. This weekend, we got some college football for those who are college football fans. And yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people that may be watching the show may not be college football fans. So for you, understand. But for those that are, who's your team? Who you with? What school you represent? Post that as well. Again, thank you again for joining me. Have a good weekend. I'm out.